I can do a handstand against a wall. Because me and my friend Jessica at playtime would practice how far away we could land our hands and then crawl down into the crab. I can't do that anymore because I lack upper body strength. But I keep promising myself to practice because the idea of being really strong and flexible, I'd love to be one of those people who could, stretch their legs out and hold their feet. So I practice on my outside balcony whenever I'm drinking tea or brushing my teeth. Speaking of teeth, I paid for my teeth to get straightened with Invisalign, though I didn't want to preach publicly about changing a feature of mine because it confuses me as to where the line between practicing and preaching self-love and acceptance while also changing little parts of your body, because you can, and it's your body. I believe it's important to promote self-love and not feel shame when you desire to change something about yourself, because we're all just living our lives inside our own bodies that are our own. I do struggle with preaching anything because I am aware that I am a 23-year-old woman with a brain just like anyone else, and I kind of believe that there is no one right, even though I do disagree with that sometimes, and I need to land on something, but shit's complex. But in understanding that it is just, to do with this, it helps me to remember that when I'm particularly mentally ill, real depressed or really anxious or super spaced out, it is all just happening in this loaf-sized squishy ball in my skull, and that my experience of everything is not as big as the universe. I like to feel like my life and my problems are insignificant and unimportant, and I'd like to get that tattooed on me somewhere, but I haven't figured out in what way yet. I have 6 tattoos so far. Actually, this was filmed before I went away, and I got another dumb matching one with all of my tour crew. I got a heart, Pete got a diamond, Ross got a spade, and Mike got a club. And Pete and Mike's looks great, but for some reason mine and Ross healed really weirdly, so I guess I might get it covered up with a tree or something. I don't know. No, I actually really like the idea of getting trees tattooed on my ankles because, being grounded and rooted, I think it might be quite cute. I have 3 on my ankles. I do not have 3 ankles. I have 2 ankles. Is that a fact? No. Does anyone have 3 ankles? Okay. 3 around my ankles and 3 on my arms. This is my first. I got it on a tour when I was turning 20, and it was the last thing I did before I wasn't a teenager anymore because I wanted to do something rebellious. I was convinced I'd only want the one, but as they say, tattoos are addictive. The second was a stick and poke by my friend Sylvia after we finished filming Let It Be, which was a short film I was in by my friend Bertie. But it hurt too much to continue, and so it looked really stupid for a while. Then when I was getting my third done, I asked if they could finish it. My foot tattoos have been the most painful. It helps to get me to sing if I'm ever in pain. I have a matching tour tattoo with 5/6 other people from my party tattoos tour because we were such a good group. My arm tattoos are mostly about mental health, and the other night I cried because I felt sorry for myself being branded with messages telling me that everything's going to be okay. But I love them, I chose them, and they do help me. The most recent one is a Layla lyric reminding me that I will rise from the ashes when I have been burned out. This one is designed by Una Hu. It's a sprig of lavender, and it reminds me of my mum and to look after myself because she loves lavender and that's what she always says to me. This one from La La Land reminds me that my pain can be used to make art. It feels good to give it a purpose because then I feel more in control of it. I try to preach this message to the world of the mentally ill because it is so shit to carry this around with you in life. But in trying to gift some good to mental illness, it can come across as romanticizing it. It has been too difficult and damaging to balance my principle of destigmatizing the talk around mental health, helping other people with dark brains, trying to give some purpose to their pain, and also not making depression seem like this magical quality, because it's not. It's really shit. So I haven't been too vocal online about that recently. I'm still trying to figure it out. Moving on. This is not my treble recorder. I stole it from my school when I borrowed it for recorder ensemble. Ensemble? The first song I play on recorder, on any recorder, treble, descant, whatever, is this one because it sounds the most impressive, but I don't know the rest. And there's a note that you can't actually physically reach on the recorder. People usually stop you anyway before it gets there, so you can just trick everyone into thinking you're really good and you know the whole thing. I first started learning recorder because when I wanted to pick up the clarinet, I didn't have my 2 front teeth yet, which is kind of essential. So I learned how to play the first instrument. I guess the recorder technically was my first instrument. Cool. I'm so grateful I learned music theory at a young age, because now the treble clef is just like ingrained into me. I read it like easy. However, bass clef was not as ingrained into me because I played, instruments that you would read in the treble clef. And so learning cello is very difficult because everything's in bass clef. I find myself just cheating and like looking at the note that I think it is in treble clef and then just transposing. But I know that the right way to learn is to scrap everything that I think the note is and look at it and try and learn it anew. But I just can't. I have a similar problem when it comes to jamming. There's not really one instrument I can play on in the right key, because like clarinet is in B flat, so you have to transpose the tone down or up. I prefer playing baritone ukulele to concert uke, but I learned the concert uke first, and so all the shapes that I'm playing are actually a fifth up to what I think they are. If I play a C and it's actually a D, or a fourth down, whatever. So I just have to keep transposing again. I can like jam with my voice. That's the easiest way I can like add melodies to anything, but I'm not gonna scat it out. No. The perfumes I circulate around are Daisy by Marc Jacobs, Little Black Dress by Avon, and mostly Fantasy by Britney Spears. I'm 5'7", and people usually think I'd be smaller, but I'm not. I think truffle and wine-drunk mouths smell very, very similar, and so whenever I smell or eat like truffle pasta or whatever, it just makes me think of kissing. My favourite kisses, in no particular order, have been in a hotel, on a sofa bed, on a sofa, in the stage curtains in school in secret, outside the history block at night time, and in a thunderstorm in Leicester Square under an umbrella, and on a rooftop in London. My worst kisses have been in a tent outside a house party and after a date that was longer than I would have liked. I think kissing, sex, and music are all linked, like all related, because it's all about feeling and timing and letting go of pressure and overthinking. I'm not really a dessert person. Chocolate cake is something I wouldn't eat more than a forkful of, and if I'm honest, I'd rather just not. I am definitely more of a savoury gal, and I have been known to crack salt on restaurant tables and lick it up with my finger. Finger is my least favourite word, and I have a strange sort of like phobia with the word and object ring. It feels gross to say or even think about, and sometimes I try and wear them and feel aesthetically pleasing, but I also just feel uncomfortable the whole day. I don't know where it came from. No idea. One of the most useful pieces of advice I have learned for creativity is from Hank Green. He made a video all about it, and it is to reach for 80%. Otherwise, you will never be happy, because you will never find this mystery 100%. Recently, my friend Zana asked me if I considered going back to university one day, and the idea floored me, because I feel like there is this giant line in my life in like 2013. There's like a before and after, and education just comes in the before, and so it feels like unreachable again. This is weird, doesn't really make sense. It makes sense to me, and yeah, I think the idea excites me, so I would like to keep it there. My eyes are hazel. Sometimes they look a bit more green, sometimes they look a bit more brown. I kind of wish they were dark brown, but I don't really care that much. Bye. What?